the story of EMF fitness thus far. So, in case you don't know, EMF fitness is my personal training business. It's a business that I started about, I'd say almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, around this time. And I wanted to create this video to kind of document what the journey has been over the last couple years, what led to me deciding to start EMF fitness, and then kind of the major roadblocks, major successes that I've had along the way. So here we go, long-winded. To start, in around 2012, 2013 is when I got my personal training certification as a BCRPA certification when I was living just outside of Vancouver. Up to that point, I was working in trades, so that was pretty much all that I knew, but I was really into health and fitness. I was really into weight training. It was something I was very passionate about. As a journey a road I'd gone down myself, and had some successes, and just was really passionate about it. Really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed learning about it. It was my main obsession. And when I got that certification, as soon as I got it, I absolutely loved school. I loved learning about the anatomy, the science behind exercise and training and nutrition. It was an amazing experience. But the first roadblock that I had is, once I got out of school and I had a couple job offers for personal training, I found that my introverted nature really prevented me from wanting to pursue it as a career. I'd always worked, like I said, I'd always worked in trades. I've always been introverted. I've always liked to keep to myself. I don't like to speak unless spoken to. I'm just not a big talker in general. I'm more of a thinker. I like to stay inside my mind, inside my brain. And so going in, if you know anything about personal training, that it's a people business, and especially when you're trying to gain clientele, you have to be talking. You have to be meeting new people all the time. You have to be putting yourself out there, and it was something I was very uncomfortable with. So I basically turned down the jobs that the job offers I had. I did a little bit of shadowing at a couple places, and I had a good job offer at this one large box gym in Vancouver, but very quickly on after the shadowing, I just felt uneasy about it. It was pushing my comfort zone too much. So I went back to trades. I went back to welding, and welding's what I'd been doing for the last couple of years. Most of the men in my family work as refrigeration mechanics with some welding experience, so that's what had kind of gotten me into it. And so I went back to welding, and I hated it. I like the art form of welding, but I hate the monotony of the particular place I was working, and I just didn't see it getting any better anywhere else. But I had started the process of welding, so I followed it through. I went and got my additional tickets. I ended up getting my red seal and journeyman status in welding to see that through. But the whole time I felt uneasy that I hadn't pursued the personal training. I hadn't pursued fitness. I felt very drawn to it. I was very inspired by a YouTuber by the name of Elliot Hulse, and he's really been a major inspiration for me through many stages of my business, a mentor, if you will. And listening to his videos, I knew that I needed to push myself. I needed to push my comfort zone, but I needed to do something dramatic in order to do that. So in late 2014, November 2014, I moved from Vancouver area to Calgary, Alberta. And I originally had moved out for a welding job, but I knew I needed a change of pace. I needed to change my environment. And when I moved out there was a delay in the interview process. A delay in the interview process for the welding job. And in the meantime, I had a buddy take me to one of the local gyms. I just wanted to inquire, what do personal trainers out here in this province need as a certification to train people? And very early on, a very early on. When I went into this first gym, I met a fellow by the name of David, who ended up actually being a good friend of mine. But he transferred me over to the manager of the gym, to ask him the questions I had. And when I got to talking to the manager, I got to talk to him over the phone. He said, well, why don't you come in? Why don't you come in tomorrow, and we'll sit down and talk about it. And just bring your resume so we can take a look at it. And so I came in, we sat down, we had a good chat for a couple minutes, and he said, well, why don't you go out to the floor and just talk to some people. Just talk to some people out on the floor about what their goals are and what they're trying to do, and we'll see how that goes. And I went down super uncomfortable, still super introverted, but I was like, you know what, I have to see this through. So I went and I talked to some people out on the floor, really uncomfortable, but they were all really amazing. People are generally good easy to talk to once you start talking to them, unless they're a super dick to start with. But yeah, most of the people there were just amazing, and I talked with them. It was a great learning experience, seeing that I could do it. And then the manager had me come over and show him some exercises. Why don't you teach me a squat? Why don't you teach me a push-up? And I showed him through a couple exercises, showed him what I knew, and right away said, I want to hire you. I want you to start working here. And financially, it was a tough decision. I was going to make pretty good money at this welding job, and I was going to make minimum wage to start as a trainer. But again, I recalled the feeling of the uneasiness that I felt about not pursuing it in the first place. So I took the job. I went through with it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to struggle financially. It doesn't really make sense right now, but this feels like what I have to do. So I started working as a personal trainer, and it was amazing. The first year was one of the most memorable years of my life. There was constant discomfort. I had to listen to motivational tapes every day on the way to work, just to fire myself up, just to start to break free of you can never fully break free from being an introvert if that's your nature, but the fear of talking to people, the fear of discomfort. And so the motivational tapes really helped me kind of set my mind towards what I needed to do before I got to work. And before long, I was stacked full of people. I was so passionate, and I think my passion just rubbed off for the people around me, and they could see that I cared so much about what I was doing, and I cared so much about seeing other people succeed, that my client base just continued to grow. And very early on, I was making good money working as a trainer. Not as much money as I would have made welding, but I was making enough that I was comfortable. And I actually remember the moment that I broke through that barrier of is this what I should be doing? Like, I feel very unnatural doing this. And I remember I was talking with a potential client after our session, and they were asking me some health and fitness related questions, and I felt like something was speaking through me. I almost was able to step back from myself and just watch. I was watching myself talk, and I was thinking, oh man, like, that sounded really good. That you really sound like you know what you're talking about. And from that moment on, I realized, like, this is my passion. This is really what I love. This is what I'm meant to be doing. And for the time being, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to pursue. And so for the next year, that year, I worked at that big box gym. And again, still introverted. Like, I was friends with some of the trainers there. I had good friends around that place, but I always like to keep to myself. I just didn't feel like part of the pack. I didn't feel like I completely fit in, and I knew early on that I wanted to pursue my own thing. I wanted to open up my own gym. I wanted to see what that experience was like. I'm obsessed with learning. I'm obsessed with growing, and when I'm not learning and I don't feel like I'm growing, I tend to get quite depressed. I tend to my mood changes, and I know that it's time for me to challenge myself to something new, to expose myself to something new. And so after that year, I started making plans that, okay, I want to start pursuing my own business, but I don't know where am I going to get the clients? I have these clients here, but there's legal contracts binding me that I can't take these clients. And I don't know where I'll rent space. I don't know any of these things. And so I started looking around. First, where can I rent space as a contractor? And I went and found a place as a very raw, rugged sports gym out here in Calgary, and it is amazing. The owner is phenomenal, and I went and met with him, but it was a very raw, like dirty facility, and it's perfect for sports. Let's put it that way. It's that right kind of environment, but it was my best option at the time. And so I had a couple people that I had trained with early on in my training career who I kept in contact with, and those people, that couple, and some of their friends wanted to do some group training. And so that was how I started out. While I was still working as a trainer at this other gym, I started doing group training at another one, and running a little bit of a boot camp. And it was amazing. It just start making a little bit of extra money on your own outside on your own business, and just $20 here, $20 here. And I remember I was storing all that cash in an envelope, and this is my EMF money. This is going to be my reserve, and it started to build, and a couple $100, $1,000, couple $1,000, and I started to stack it up, and then okay, now I have to invest this into something. I'm gonna go buy some equipment, and I took about 1,000 of it, and I went and bought some dumbbells and some slam balls and some skipping ropes and things like that. I bought that, and this is the start of my business. And all the while still doing my training at this other facility. And keep in mind that it's frowned upon, to say the least, to be running something outside of that. But at that point, it wasn't conflicting as far as I was taking people away. But I knew I needed to make that transition. And how was I going to do that? Like, I may have clients who had 36 plus sessions remaining with me, and then there was some with 3-4 sessions remaining, and they're winding down. But me knowing that I'm trying to make my break out of there, do I keep renewing clients? I don't want to leave people hanging, thinking I'm going to still be there. And so I started to have to really think that process out. And then I decided on the date that I was going to get out of there, and it was going to be about 1.5 years into. I think it was just going into summer. What would that be? 2016, around 2016, summer 2016, that I was going to try and make the leap. And so I was slowly winding down my sessions, and when people would run out of sessions, I'd have to be quiet about it. And okay, but I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm planning to leave here soon, so I don't want to renew sessions and leave you hanging. And so a lot of them right away were, where are you going? Like, I want to go with you. I want to go when you go. And so I've slowly winding down. I tell them, I say, hey, look, I can't tell you to come with me. If you decide to come with me, that's of your own accord. Okay, like, I'm not forcing anything on you. I'm not soliciting to you. You do what you will. And yeah, and then as my sessions started to wind down and I got closer, basically the gym found out that was my plan, and right away, you're out. You got to get out of here. So it was a big shocker immediately. Like, I knew I was leaving, but to be let go from the gym was it hurt in a way. Like, even though I knew I was going to leave, that's not how I wanted to end the relationship, and I felt poorly about it. But what else was I going to do? Leave and let's just go? Like, I wasn't going to leave those people. It was the best way that I could think of at the time, and I didn't want to burn any bridges in the process. But there I was, the beginning of summer, and I was done. Like, I still had some clients who had sessions left, and I was still doing these group classes, but it wasn't enough to survive on. And then I got a call from one of my clients, Nikki, and she wanted a session. I said, look, like, I got let go from the gym, but we can do a training session outside. So that day I met her in a field, and we went through a workout right in an open field. It was beautiful weather. It was an amazing day, and I just felt like, man, like, I can do this. Like, I've already got the boot camp going. If I can just get a couple one-on-one sessions going, this will be amazing. This will be great. and I started to build up my client base. We were training in the field, and then doing some of the training in the field for the first week or so. Then I transitioned transitioned those couple people into the space that I was contracting out of. And I saw how I could piece it together, and so everything was feeling good. I was feeling amazing, like, oh man, I'm really going to be able to do this. And it started to build for the first couple months. I started to gain some clientele. Some of the people that used to train with me, they finished up their sessions and started to come over to train with me. And then as I felt like everything was great, boom, the relationship that I was in ended, and I didn't have anywhere to stay. I didn't know, other than my clients, I didn't have any friends in Calgary left. The rest had moved away. I didn't know where I was gonna live, and I was left with the choice to do I continue to pursue this? Do I just find a way through it, or like, do I go back home? Like, is this it? Like, I was devastated over the breakup. It destroyed me inside. Not what I anticipated, not what I had envisioned in my mind. It ended up being a really good thing, but at the time it was brutal. It was devastated, and do I even have the mental energy to pursue this business? And so, yeah, there I was, left with that decision. And then things will come as you need them, and it really does end up working that way. And one of my clients, who was living on the other end of the city, had said, hey, I got a room for rent. If you want to rent out a room for a couple $100, we can make it happen. You can move in there this weekend. And so I had to ship my stuff out, got set up in there, and then I continued forward. And it was for a period, it was very lonely. Like, it took me a while to get over the relationship part, but I didn't really know that client that well at the time. We were friends, but I didn't know them. I didn't have that close attachment. I didn't have that deep friendship that I had in the relationship. Like, I felt very alone out there. But I kept moving forward, and I was handing out flyers with a little bit extra money that I had, and trying to get something going, trying to get some more clients going, and slowly but surely over the next 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, I started to build up my clientele again, and I was doing quite well. I always had cash on hand. I had started a sole proprietorship by that time. I wasn't incorporated, so basically running as an individual, not a corporation, and things were going well. Things were going good. I had a couple complaints about the facility being kind of a grungy facility, but it was what I had available. And then again, like I said, opportunities arise. There was another space that became available. It was this mixed martial arts gym that had a little back corner that was probably, I don't know, 250 square feet, 200 square feet, had a couple squat racks in it, some dumbbells and kettlebells. But I came in and looked at it, and it was perfect. It was not nearly as much space as I was used to, but it was going to be my little space like that. I could have that. I could train in there, and they're going to charge me this amount. I believe it was $500 to start, which was great. $500 a month to start, and I started training my clients in there. I had this little space, and again started building up my clientele. Like, the wheels were turning forward, things were moving, and it was going amazing. And all the while, I'm trying to learn the aspects of business. I'm trying to develop as a coach. I want to continue to become the best coach that I can be. If you follow this channel, you know that's one of my main goals is to document my progress as a coach. I'm good at where I am, but I know I can be better. And if I want to be the best, if I want to be the greatest that I can be, I have to keep growing. And at the same time, if I want to be the best I can be in business, if I want to be the greatest I can be at business, I need to keep growing. So constantly growing each of those platforms, each of those arenas or areas of my life. So yeah, I continued to grow, and I continued to try and learn, and then I had one of my old clients who I became good friends with. The sales job his family business was closing down. That he had moved into a sales role in the time that I knew him, but the place was closing down, and I needed someone to help me with sales. Who better to help me with the growth of EMF than someone who was my client and knows the way that I envision it, and they live EMF, they live energy movement freedom. And so I asked him, I said, hey man, like, I don't have, I can't pay you anything to start, but I know that you're gonna have this period where you're making some money after the business, that after the business closes, that you'll have that window of opportunity. Like, if this is something you're interested in, like, it would be amazing to have you on board. And so he got on board, and that was where EMF went from 1 to 2. And very quickly on, we knew, like, okay, like, we can't do this in this facility. Like, it's been almost a year I've been in this facility, but there's not room for 2 of us realistically. We're gonna have to find something else. And that's so we started to pursue, or to look for the next step for the business, to look for the next location. And around that time, I went and incorporated the business. Again, financially, I probably could have stayed sole proprietor, but I knew the level I'm trying to grow at, and I had no intentions of staying small. I wanted the feeling of, this is an corporation, it's incorporated business. And so I went and got incorporated, figured that out, had somebody help me out, because again, you don't know what you don't know. When you're growing a business, unless you have the guidance, you're figuring it out on your own, and that's what it's been up.
Sorry, I had to change cameras there. So yeah, like I said, at that point, that's when we got incorporated, and then from there it was about deciding, finding out where we're gonna go, where's the next place gonna be. So we started searching. Where am I gonna find a facility that we can start EMF out of? And we started looking online, contacting real estate agents, commercial real estate agents, and we ended up finding a place that was right down the street. Actually, it was right down the street. It's a 2,000 square foot warehouse, and a rough warehouse, and it was going to need a lot of work to make it look appealing for what we want. But it was available right away, and it was within the range that I could afford at that time. I really didn't even know that I could afford to start running my own facility, because I was just so busy working. I'm not a numbers person, but the business was making money, but I wasn't even aware of how much I was bringing in. I just know I got to train people there. I got this many sessions, 8-10 sessions a day. I'm keeping busy. Got people here, got groups here, got this coming in, sending out invoicing, and you had to figure that out too, of course. And figuring it out on your own when you're not a numbers person is a nightmare. But I figured it out, and when looking at the numbers, I was like, this is something that I can do. So I basically rushed it. I advise you, if you're going to pursue this, try not to rush it too much. Try and get some guidance, because I didn't even know anything about licensing, and licensing for a business, and basically dealing with the city bylaws and whatnot. I had no idea anything about that. And so I signed the lease, read it through, we negotiated a couple things, got a good deal going for both of us, and then signed the lease. And then once I got in there, and I, of course, right before that, I had to go through the process of trying to get a loan for the business. Ended up getting a $20,000 loan, and that's why I budgeted out, okay, this is how much I need for equipment, for paint and everything, and that's where we got started, right? We got into the place for January 1st. It was 1 year from the time I started renting place at the other spot. We got in for January 1st, but the lease wasn't going to start for another month, another 2 months, I believe. And so I got in there and right away picked up a can of paint and started painting the walls myself. Started painting the walls, and I had a couple people come help me out through the process. My new girlfriend, my fiance now. I know, it's amazing. She came out and started helping me throw on some paint gear, and we started painting. We just started painting this facility, and we started on the weekend. And the next week, I made sure I had the rubber for the facility, and I hadn't even set it up yet. I just basically set up a little square. It was a little square for my clients, and I had some dumbbells and a bench that I put together, and just on this little pad started training my clientele. In the meantime, well, it's a big construction zone all around us, and so yeah, we started building it building it up from there and finishing everything off. And then once we got it aesthetically where we wanted, took about a month to get it there. I thought it would take a weekend. I was super ambitious. Not happening. But I got it set up, and then it was amazing. All my clients were super happy for me. I felt that pride of like, okay, I've really started to set this thing through. And then that's when, of course, the next roadblock came in, and that was the city issue. I had been told over the phone, this is what you got to do. Simple change of use, and you'll be ready to go. You'll be able to get your business license. And that was not true. Unless your business is what was happening in that space before, it does not go that smoothly. And so I kid you not, for almost a year after that, I had the pain and discomfort of not knowing if I was going to be able to stay in this place after I had set it up and been told I could do it. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on bringing in different experts, permit masters, architects, and some people say I can do it, some people say I can't do it. Oh, you've got to do all this. Oh, now you've got to sprinkler the whole building if you want to have... It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And again, the things that you need will come in time. And met this amazing architect, retired architect through my barber, actually. The contact through a contact, and he came in. He's like, no problem. This is after building this business up for not a full year, but not knowing if I was going to be able to do it. Everything was insured, everything was right, but I wasn't able to get the business license. I was in the process of getting it. And this was super like defeating feeling for me, this back and forth. Like I felt like a loser, like, oh, you tried to start this business, you idiot, like you thought you could do this. And it just wasn't working for me. Like every turn that I thought I'm almost there. I give the city the papers. This is it, right? This is what I need. Yeah, they go through here. Oh, where's this? Well, you didn't tell me I needed that last time. Go down the rabbit hole again. And anyway, this guy ended up helping me. Ended up having to spend some money for him to help me through this process, but it was well worth it. And then this final timeline, this is coming down. Like, okay, we've got to get this business license. The city's aware that it's been taking this long. Where is it, Eric? What's going on? And so it ended up I had to build a barrier-free bathroom for this facility. Otherwise, everything else was going to be up to date, and everything was looking good. So, get a contractor through a contact. The contractor comes in, takes a look, and this is rushed. Like, we've got a week to do this before this inspector is going to retire. And he said the next guy who come in might call you on a bunch of different things. Who knows, right? And that difference could be a lot if he calls you on. There's many different things you can get called on, but in his mind, he has an older inspector building as is. This is the way it was. You're coming in here, you're just using as is. Got to get these specs up to date, but I'm going to let you just go through with just the bathroom. So, contractor, never dealt with a contractor. Yeah, we could get this done for $3,000. No problem, Eric. $3,000. Okay, awesome. Let's do it. Get that shit in writing. Okay, I didn't do it in writing. I thought this guy was shook on it. This is good. $3,000. Yeah, $3,000. Let's go forward. There ended up being a little hiccup. They didn't reach the deadline that they were supposed to. Again, a nightmare. And they had to switch some pipes around. Luckily, this guy who was going to retire was going to stay for an extra 2 days, I believe. He was going to come back in on the Monday instead of the Friday he came in. And so they had to switch some things up. They switched it up. Luckily, it went through. Finally, we get the business license. I'm so damn grateful that finally we've gotten the business license. It's been a nightmare for a year. I don't know what's going to happen with my business. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I don't know if I can afford anything else. And it goes through. Feeling so good. And I'm kidding you not, literally the same day I got the invoice from the contractor for $9,000. 3 times what we agreed on, and argue back and forth. Oh no, that was just for us to do this, but we had to do this little change around in piping, and that was somehow worth 3 times as much. Again, I was grateful that I got the license. He helped me with that. I didn't want to go into a battle over this money, so just paid it. Whatever. Get it in writing. Okay, and yeah, so it was good, and that was a couple months ago. And from there, now we've got a couple other ladies that are renting space. They're contracting out of EMF now. So it's me, my partner, and my business partner, and 3 other women who are renting space with their clientele there. So it's been going amazing. That's the level of growth we're roughly at now. So now that everything's established with the business, we're up to date, we're licensed, everything's looking good, the space is looking good. There's a couple little things we could upgrade, but for the most part, it's looking great. Now we're just in the process of how do we get our business more well known? How do we grow beyond just 2 trainers? How do we get more, not just word of mouth through referrals, but how do we reach more across social? How do we become a name in the city of Calgary? So that's a long story. I don't know what we're probably at, damn near 25 minutes. So if you've made it up to this part, good job. I appreciate it. So this is for you to see kind of what the process has been up to this point. There's been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of unknowns, and it's been an amazing process. It's been a struggle, but damn, it's well worth it. And I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I can't work for anybody else. It's not in my nature. I'm just not meant to work for anybody else. So this is the only option for me. So yeah, now you're up to date. Now I can look back in a couple of years and see where we were at this point. What are we? We're 2019, January 4th, 2019. Yeah, so it's been quite a journey since 2013, getting my personal training certification. But I want to keep you guys updated every couple months at least, let you know where the business is at, what kind of things we're pursuing now. Just had a business meeting with Jared, my business partner, this morning, and we know we need to hammer down on social. We need to branch out through there. We need to communicate abroad to help build a bigger name for ourselves. Continue to overserve the people that we have now, but that's our next target, is to really hammer down on social and no excuses. Hit those New Year's resolution goals. Everybody's got them. Whether you like it or not, there's things you want to accomplish, and there's no better time than now, and it's sure as hell no better time than 2019, the start of a new year. So thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting at all, please like the video. If you have any questions about the journey, any things you want any more detail on, comment down below. And if you want to be a part of the journey, if you want to be a part of this process of growing EMF, me growing as a business professional, me and my partner growing this business, if you want to witness the unfolding, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.